Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Sodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivadakacharya Asatya Shishimad. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Kota Vaishnavani Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasati Gaur Bhaktamani Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shiva Namanam Ki Jai, Shri Maya Panavdam Ki Jai, Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Jamuna Maya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Go Premanandi. All glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, text number 35. Yatredhante Kata Mristas Trisnaya Prasamo Yataha Nirvhairam Yatra Bhuteshu Nodvego Yatra Kashana Yatvedhyante Katamstas Trisnaya Prasamo Yataha Nirvhairam Yatra Bhuteshu Nodvego Yatra Kashana Yatvedhyante Katamristas Trisnaya Prasamo Yataha Nirvairong Yatra Bhuteshu Nodvego Yatra Kashana Yatvedhyante Katamistras Trisnaya Prasamo Yataha Nirvairong Yatra Bhuteshu Nodvego Yatra Kashana Yatvedhyante Katamistras Trisnaya Prasamo Yataha Nirvairong Yatra Bhuteshu Nodvego Yatra Kashana Yatvedhyante Katamistras Trisnaya Prasamo Yataha Nirvairong Yatra Bhuteshu Yatvedhyante Katamristas Krishnaya Prasamo Yataha Nirvairong Yatra Bhuteshu Nodvego Yatra Kashana Go ahead. Yatvedhyante Katamristas Trisnaya Prasamo Yataha Nodvego Yatra where Idyante are worshipped or discussed. Kata words. Mrista, pure. Trishnaya, of material hankerings. Prashama, satisfaction. Yata, by which. Nirvairam, non-enviousness. Yatra, where. Bhuteshu, among living entities. Na, not. Udvega, fear. Yatra, where. Kashyana, any. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki. Whenever pure topics of the transcendental world are discussed, the members of the audience forget all kinds of material hankerings, at least for the time being. Not only that, but they are no longer envious of one another, nor do they suffer from anxiety or fear. Purport. Vaikuntha means without anxiety. And Kunta means a lot of anxiety. That's this world. Lots of anxiety. Kunta. And the material world means full of anxiety. Kunta. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Sada Samudvigna Dhyam Sadgrahat. The living entities who have accepted this material world as a residence are full of anxiety. A place immediately becomes Vaikuntha whenever the holy topics of the personality of Godhead are discussed by pure devotees. This is the process of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.23. Chanting and hearing about the Supreme Lord Vishnu, as the Supreme Lord Himself confirms. Naham tistambi Vaikunte yoginam hridyesuva tat tat tisthami narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. My dear Narada, actually I do not reside in my abode, Vaikuntha, nor do I reside within the hearts of the yogis, but I reside in that place where my pure devotees chant my holy name and discuss my form, pastimes, and qualities. That's in the Padma Purana. Because of the presence of the Lord in the form of the transcendental vibration, the Vaikuntha atmosphere is evoked. This atmosphere is without fear and anxiety. One living entity does not fear another. By hearing the holy names and glories of the Lord, a person executes pious activities. Shrimbatam Sva Katha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17. Thus his material hankerings immediately stop. This Sankirtan movement, started by the society, interesting, Prabhupada didn't put international, started by the Society of Krishna Consciousness, is meant for creating Vaikuntha, the transcendental world that is without anxiety even in this material world. The method is the propagation of the Shravana Kirtanam process throughout the world. In the material world, everyone is envious of his fellow man. Animalistic envy exists in human society as long as there is no performance of Sankirtan Yagya, the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The Pratetas therefore decided to remain always in the society of devotees, and they considered that to be the highest benediction possible in human society. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukram Kurtavachalam Pangun Langhayate Garim Yat Kripa Taraham Vande Shikarum Dinataram Vanchakapatubhyuscha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivan. Hare Krishna. Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Ram Ram. Hare Hare. It was actually a pretty common thing that devotees would have some difficulty, some anxiety, some problem. And they'll go into Prabhupada's room with this problem or this anxiety. And by being in the atmosphere, the transcendental atmosphere of Prabhupada's presence, whatever anxiety or whatever problem they would have, it just go away. Prabhupada created this Vaikuntha atmosphere because he's completely Krishna conscious. And this is the result that one, like Prabhupada said, that wherever he would go, that would be Vrindavan, because he had that atmosphere, that Vrindavan atmosphere. Machchita mudgata prana bodhiyanta parasram katyantas chamamnityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. Krishna says, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me. And they derive great bliss and satisfaction enlivening one another and conversing about me. So this is the result of hearing the glories of Krishna, that one creates this atmosphere. So here it's interesting that the generally when we hear this a verse like this, whenever the pure topics of the transcendental personality of Godhead, but here it says, whenever pure topics of the transcendental world are discussed. It says the world, just talking about the world of Krishna. Then what is the result? There's 4 results here. One result is one becomes free of all material hankerings. In the material world, there's a lot of hankering going on. The advertisement agencies are very good at creating hankering. Oh, gotta have this, gotta have that. Huge. It's a huge business, isn't it? Yeah. Advertisement agencies, trying to get people to want this, to want that, gotta have that. And they're really good with the children. They put these advertisements on television and stuff, and they put these toys, and the little kids are there. Hi, Mommy, I want that, I want that. It's like nag their parents. I want that, I want that. It's huge, multi-million dollar industry advertisement. So, but a devotee is trying to become free of all these material hankerings. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya said, "Not danam, not janam, the sundring kavitang vaja garishi kamaye mama janmani isre bhavatud bhakti haitiki tvai." He says, I don't want wealth. Practically everybody wants wealth. But it's interesting, I was speaking to one person a couple days ago on Sankirtan. And we were talking about this, and I said, yeah, most people know, money doesn't bring happiness. And there was a man and woman there. And he said, yeah, there was one person did an interview with 50 billionaires. And he asked them, be honest with me, are you happy? Only 3 said they were happy. Out of 50 billionaires, 3 said, I'm happy. But everybody's thinking, if I was a billionaire, if I won the lottery, whoosh. But they've done studies on people that have won lotteries. Their life becomes miserable. Because everybody wants your money. You don't know who your friends are. It's like Ambarish, we were talking, Alfred Ford. And he said, in my next life, I don't want to be rich. Because when you're rich, everybody wants your money. And therefore you don't know who your friends are. Because people with money, they're automatically your friend. So yeah, money doesn't bring happiness. So Lord Chaitanya says, not dhanam, I don't want wealth. Can't buy happiness. You can buy things, but things don't bring happiness. Not janam, I don't want followers. People want followers. People, it's a common thing. You know, people, it's like there's so many people, they want to be rock stars or movie stars so that people can adore them. I don't want a beautiful wife. That's going pretty far. All the men want a beautiful wife. I don't want a beautiful wife. Not dhanam, not janam, na sundarim. Actually, it's the wife is the enemy of the person, because so many men will want to take that wife away, and it happens. It happens. There was one person who was he's in prison, and devotees went there and they were preaching, and this person became attracted to Krishna consciousness. And the devotee asked, well, why are you in prison? He said, my best friend had an affair with my wife. I killed him. So here's his best friend. I mean, you'd think, maybe somebody, some person I don't know. But yeah, anxiety. Just to keep a wife. I remember I was preaching in India to this Western person, and I was speaking about the anxieties of material life. He said, yeah, I'm here in India, but I'm in anxiety that someone's going to take my wife in Europe. Yeah. He's in India, doing some business or something. He's in anxiety, he's afraid. So, don't want money, I don't want followers, I don't want a beautiful woman. Well, what do you want? I mean, that's everything. This is what everybody wants. What do you want? I don't want liberation even. I want to engage in devotional service, birth after birth. This is a very high prayer given by the highest person, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then there's lamenting. You hear about the glories of the spiritual world. You become free of hankering for things in this world, and lamenting. Yeah. People get things, and then they lose things. They're lamenting. So there's hankering and lamenting. That's what happens in this material world. So much lamentation. Sometimes the wife leaves the man, and he commits suicide. Laments so much. The one devotee in Los Angeles, his wife left him, and he was seriously considering suicide. It's a painful thing. Yeah. Lamenting. People lose their money. Millionaires, they lose their money. Lament. It's like when they had that change of currency in India, where the rupee wasn't worth anything anymore. Certain bills, they weren't worth anything anymore. So people lost millions. They committed suicide. It was even illegal to use those, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, so people lamented so much, they just took their life. It's too much. One day you're a millionaire, one day you have nothing. It's like very painful. So this is one result of hearing the glories of the spiritual world. Then, no longer envy. Another one. No envy. In the spiritual world, there's no envy. Maybe a little bit. Sometimes it's described that the cowherd boys, they would run. I'm going to touch Krishna first. No, I'm going to touch Krishna first. Some little. No envy. Material world, so much envy. And just like not long ago we had this presidential election, and there was so much envy, people speaking out, against the other person, against so much envy. But this whole pastime of the Pachetas, this is one of my favorite chapters, and one of my favorite verses is by Lord Vishnu. Now we've already heard it, but it's so sweet. I got to hear it again. Now this is after the Pachetas had been engaged in devotional service, cooperating with one another. They were so joyfully engaged in devotional service that Lord Vishnu appeared to them because of their sincerity, because of their cooperation. He says, "My dear sons of the king, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me." Just see how if we just cooperate with one another, engaging in devotional service, Krishna is so pleased. Cooperation is so important. Prabhupada said that your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate with one another after I leave. And unfortunately, we lacked in that a lot, and therefore the movement declined, actually, because there's so much lack of cooperation in devotional service. So Prabhupada goes on to say, in the purport, since the sons of King Pachinibharisat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord is very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Pachinibharisat was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. It's a powerful statement here. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotee. As indicated in this verse, we can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Pachinibharisat. So this is what pleases Krishna. Devotional service and cooperating with one another in this devotional service. So it's so very important. So how do you get free of envy? Who can say? By service. By service. By service to those whom we're envious of, we become free of envy. This is the solution practically to all problems, is service. Just like we're serving devotees, we're serving other devotees, we're serving Krishna, we're serving the spiritual master. We serve humanity. We go out, we're giving Krishna consciousness to others. We're giving books out to people, we're giving the holy name. So service is so important. This is how we grow spiritually. Savaya pung sang paro dharmo yato bhakti haita kapit yatma supasid. The supreme occupational duty for all mankind is that by which one can engage in loving service to Krishna. And such service must be unmotivated, uninterrupted, in order to completely satisfy the self. So this is what satisfies the self, is service. unmotivated, uninterrupted service to Krishna, to Krishna's devotees, and to society by giving Krishna out to others. So another one, the third one, is no anxiety. By hearing the glories of the spiritual world, we become free of anxiety. That's another big problem in the material world. There's so much anxiety. Now with this COVID-19, so much anxiety, especially in the third world countries. India, now they're locked down. People are so poor. Even before the lockdown, they're so poor they're barely surviving, isn't it? What to speak of now? People are leaving their bodies, I heard, because people are starving. Can't work, can't go outside. You get harassed by the authorities. So much anxiety, material world. Like people are in anxiety, old age. People don't want to get old. Like Prabhupada said, when I was young, I was athletic. Did anybody know what what sport Prabhupada used to play? Soccer. Yeah. And he would only play the goalie, so he didn't have to run back and forth. But he said, when I was young, I was strong and healthy. He lifted up his arm and he started flapping his skin back and forth. Now, flat tire. Old age. Nobody wants to get old. Now they have this Botox. Is that what it is? They take shots to become free of wrinkles. Is that what it's called? Botox. It's a big thing now, right? Trying to avoid old age. And the people, they dye their hair, get the gray hair, they dye it. Don't want people to see the gray. There's one devotee even, he dyes as Sika. So people don't want to look old. It's embarrassing. So yesterday I saw this lady. I mean, she must have been 90 years old. I mean, really old. But she dyed her hair, blonde or something, trying to look young. Doesn't work. At one point, it just, no matter how much Botox you take, it's not going to work. It's just the old age. The old age look is going to be there. Death. People are trying to avoid death in so many ways. So much anxiety. And then the last one. No fear. No fear. You hear about the glories of the spiritual world, you become free of fear. It's interesting, huh? Just hearing the glories of the spiritual world, become free of fear. And this is the nature of a devotee, free of fear. Narayana parasarvena kutaschana bibhiti. Svarga pavarga narakesi apito yata darsana. The devotees who are solely engaged in the service of Krishna, they have no fear. For them, going to the heavenly planets, going to hell, getting liberation, it's all the same. Why? Because wherever they go, whatever situation they're in, they're going to serve Krishna. So there's no problem. No anxiety. It's amazing, huh? Like Chittiketu. Actually, this verse came out because of King Chittiketu. He was going around in this amazing plane, glorifying Krishna, and he saw Lord Shiva with Parvati on his lap. And in a joking way, he kind of laughed and said, "Oh, isn't this amazing? You're speaking the absolute truth with your wife on your lap." And he kind of laughed, and it's like they had a friendly relationship. But she took offense, cursed him to be a demon, Vritrasura. But what did he do? Thank you, Mataji. accepted it as a benediction. Then Vritrasura, great demon, became a great demon, devotee demon, like Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj. So devotees, no problem, no anxiety. So Lord Shiva said to her, just see the mentality of a devotee. You're cursed to be a demon, and he thanks you. No problem. Prabhupada said in a purport, he was so powerful, he could have cursed her. But he accepted the curse. Such a great devotee. And he became Vritrasura, and then he went back to Godhead. So, devotee has no fear. Vita raga boya kora mammaya mamapashata bhavo jnana tapasa putamud bhavamaga. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, many persons have become purified by knowledge of me, and thus they have attained me. So Krishna is encouraging us here that it's happened many times in the past that people have become purified by hearing about him and engaged in devotional service. But you have to give up this material attachments. So many attachments we have in this world, mainly for the body, and things attached to the body. We're not the body. It's a nice thing to know, actually. When I first read that, I thought, wow, that's nice to know. That we're a spirit soul, we're not the body. I mean, what is this body? It's a bag. So many gross elements in it, but we're not these gross elements. We're the soul within. So this knowledge that we're getting helps us to become free of the attachments of this world. Helps us to become free of fear. Vitaraga Bhaya. What is it? Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. And anger. Yeah, we become angry and we're frustrated. We're frustrated in our sense gratification. People become angry. It's like they have this, I don't know if it's still there, road rage. Yeah. Someone would pull in front of someone and they'd shoot him in Los Angeles. Did it happen here too? SanDiego? No? LA, yeah. Someone pull in front of you. Don't pull in front of me. Get angry. And I was talking to one person who he's a street cleaner. I was distributing books, and he's a street cleaner. And I was talking about this anger. He said, "Oh yeah, people, they throw their phones out their window. They're having a conversation with someone, and they get angry at the person, and they get so angry they throw their phone out of the car, and we get so many phones. There's so many phones along the street. People get angry. They throw the phone out the window, so they can't call them back or something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, anger." So what is it about the spiritual world that makes it so nice? What is it about the spiritual world that makes it so nice that you can develop all these wonderful qualities? What is it? Krishna's there. Krishna's in this, that's his abode. Goloka Vrindavan. And wherever Krishna is, it's very nice. Very nice, wherever Krishna is. Yeah. Because he's the most amazing person, the most wonderful person. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Parthan Dhanurjara, Tatra Shi, Vijayo Bhutir, Duvani Tir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there'll be opulence, victory, extraordinary strength, and morality. So Krishna, he's the master of all mystics. He does amazing things to attract the living entity. Just like when Krishna was here, he did this amazing mystical pastime. He was with the cowherd boys, and they were all taking prasad. They were out with all the calves. And the calves have they've gone off eating the fresh grass. And one of the cowherd boys said, "Oh no, the calves, they're not here. They're not here. We have to get the calves." And Krishna, just see how kind Krishna is. Don't bother yourself. Go ahead, continue eating. I'll get the calves. See, this Krishna is very kind. Just like yesterday, I was speaking to one person on book distribution, and real nice guy, real friendly guy. He came up to the table, actually just smiling, a real big smile. I said, "Oh, you have very good energy, a nice big smile like that." So he got the Bhagavad Gita, Science of Self-Realization. So I asked him, "So do you believe in God?" He said, "Well, I believe in the power of the universe." That's a big thing now, the universe. You believe in the universe. So I said, "Well, a lot of people don't believe in God because of a misconception, a misunderstanding of God. There's different concepts of God. So let me tell you our understanding of God. God is the coolest person. Just think of the coolest person that you could think of in your life. God is billions of times cooler than that. He's cool. He's kind. He's friendly. He's compassionate. He has all the good qualities you can think of. He has those qualities unlimitedly. This is the real concept of God." He said to me, "Now I believe in God." I mean, God should have the best qualities, right? All the qualities that we look up to. God should have those unlimitedly. He said, "Yes." And God is not so cruel that you commit some sin, you go to hell and you burn forever. I mean, I told him that even a father here in SanDiego, if he beats his child, he goes to jail. So God, the Supreme Father, he's going to beat and torture. It's crazy. He said, yeah, this is why I didn't believe in God, because of all these crazy notions of God. So no, he's the most kind, and he's amazing. He has these amazing mystical abilities. Just like when Krishna went to get the calves, couldn't find them. And then Krishna knows everything. This is another one of Krishna's mystical abilities. He knows everything. So he knew, Lord Brahma, he's taking the calves. He's playing a little trick. He's trying to test me. All right, no problem. So he manifests all the cowherd boys perfectly. Perfectly. Perfect impersonation of all the cowherd boys. It's like there's so many magicians now in the world. They're getting really good, these magicians. But none of them can compare to Krishna. Not even close. He's the best magician. He manifests all these cowherd boys and the calves. How many of them? Thousands. So this is one of Krishna's mystical abilities. And he knows everything. Kaving pranam manusasataram anor anuyangsa anusmreya sarvasya dataram achintya rupam adityavarnam tamasa parastat. If you get tired, probably better stand up. It's good. That way you don't fall asleep. Actually, there's one devotee who was sleeping, and he stood up to wake up. He fell asleep while he was standing up. Fell down on the devotees. So Krishna, he's amazing. There's amazing things that he does, to attract the living entity. Just like this, another amazing mystical ability was the lifting of Govardhan Hill. How old was he? 7 years old? How heavy was Govardhan Hill? Tons. Tons. Big hill back then. Was it every day it goes down one mustard seed? Yeah. So Krishna lifted it. Pinky, left hand. Yeah. Didn't have to strain to lift it. It's like there's the weightlifters. There's the world champion weightlifter. I think he lifted over his head something like 600 pounds, something like that. But actually Krishna, he holds the record for weightlifting. The all-time record for weightlifting. So he's mystical, does amazing things. Just like when Krishna was a child, one lady came bartering. She came with some fruit. And Krishna had seen how his parents, they barter. Such a nice system, bartering. You need something, you just go and you get it from someone else, and you give something you have. Such a nice system, bartering. So he went with some rice to barter with this lady, get some mangoes. And he had this little hand, so the rice was following. He got there, he just didn't have many grains. But she was so enchanted by the beauty of Krishna that she said, "It's okay. Here, take these mangoes." He gave him a lot of mangoes. He's holding all these mangoes. And she was so enchanted. She was so happy to just get the darshan, to see Krishna. And the acharyas say that when she got back, she didn't find out that she had all the jewels until she got back. And then she saw all these jewels, priceless gems. But she wasn't so interested. She wasn't so fascinated by that. But what fascinated her, I have to see that child again. Just seeing Krishna was so much greater than, having all these jewels, this basket of priceless gems. So to see Krishna, this is what makes the spiritual world so wonderful. So Lord Chaitanya also, he showed some mystical abilities. Just like Sanatana Goswami, he had these sores on his body from the water or food or something. He had this disease. But whenever Lord Chaitanya would see him, he would embrace him. Lord Chaitanya had so much love for for Sanatana Goswami. So Lord Chaitanya, he would just so much pleasure being with Sanatana Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami decided, I should just give up this body. It's just a useless body, and Lord Chaitanya is coming, he's embracing it. It's just horrible, so I should just give up this body. So Lord Chaitanya, he's omniscient, he knows everything. So he went to him and said, "This is not your body. I have so many plans that I want you to do with this body, which is my body. You can't give up this body. It's mine. You should have to use it in my service. You can't give up this body. So much service he has to do." So he knew. He was omniscient. He knew. And then he embraced him, and it all went away. The disease went away. And Vasudev, the leper, same thing. Lord Chaitanya was staying with Kurma, the Kurma Brahmana. And Vasudev got word that Lord Chaitanya was staying there. But by the time he got there, Lord Chaitanya had left. And he was in such anxiety. See, there's transcendental anxiety also. He was so much anxiety. He was so distraught. He was lamenting so much he fainted. But Lord Chaitanya is omniscient. He knew that this great devotee, Brahmana also, was lamenting. So he came back. And Lord Chaitanya, what did he do? He embraced him. He's a leper. And Vasudeva said, so many bad people, terrible people, they're leaving. They stay away from me because of the bad odor that comes from my leprosy. But you are embracing me. And Vasudeva, this Vasudeva Brahmana, this leper, was so transcendental. Just unbelievable. Open sores. If a worm would fall out of his open sores, he'd put it back. Because he didn't want the living entity to feel any distress. He's taken, he's eating, Inconceivable. So this is Vasudeva. So then Lord Chaitanya embraced him and he became beautiful. So then he was another type of anxiety. Now I'm going to become proud. I have this beautiful body. I've gotten your mercy. I'm going to become proud. He said, no. Just chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And you'll remain humble. You won't become proud. This is the result of chanting Hare Krishna mantra. And there was another devotee, I think his name was Murari, who also wanted to commit suicide. Murari Gupta. So Lord Chaitanya, again, same thing. What are you going to do with that knife? He had the knife hidden. So Lord Chaitanya said, what are you going to do with that knife? You can't kill yourself. This is my body. You can't do this. So he was amazed. You got to be careful around Lord Chaitanya. He knows what everybody's thinking. Right now, he knows what we're thinking. He always knows what we're thinking. That's another mystical ability. Like that's what whenever someone says they're God, that's my thing to them. It's a small thing. Come on, what am I thinking? Checkmate. Caught. Cheating. So, we want people to know the glories of this very mystical personality, Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have a Sankirtan story to tell you now, if you like to hear. Balaram Prabhu is going to Las Vegas Saturday, so that reminded me of an incident in Las Vegas. There was a devotee distributing books there. I think it was at one of these stores that also has gas station. So she distributed a book to somebody. Gave a nice donation, took a book. And while she's in the store, she hears shots, gunshots. And everybody's like, wow, what's going on? So they all went outside, and the person who had gotten the book had just been shot dead. And the book is in his hand. So just in time, got the book just in time before he leaves his body. Gave a donation, got a book, left this world. Amazing, huh? Another time, similar. I think it was Helsinki, Finland. Devotee was distributing book. And the person had gotten the book, and the devotee he was preaching to him, explaining the book to him. And this person started twitching, and his skin was turning color. And and the devotee said, "Are you epileptic?" And he couldn't respond, and he just completely lost it. And he fell down. The devotee was trying to hold him up, but he couldn't hold it. He was kind of a big guy. He couldn't hold him. He fell down, and he couldn't breathe, and he left his body right there after getting the book and giving a donation. It's amazing. So, book distribution is a real adventure. You never know what's going to happen. But It's always auspicious. Whatever happens on book distribution, very auspicious. Yeah. So, any question or comment? Balaram has a...
Thank you for that nectar. I just have a comment. My comment is, you said that the cowherd boys on touching Krishna first is envy. Saying that
Cowherd boys what?
when they wanted to touch Krishna first, you said as envy. I wouldn't consider that as envy. I would consider it as friendly competition or trying to better each other
like,
with their devotional
yeah,
service.
it's kind of like, it's...
Yeah. To better themselves for their devotional service. I noticed in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
I noticed in the Marine Corps we used to have friendly competition to better each other to be a better Marine. So
okay.
that's why that's
Okay.
why I wanted to make that
All
comment.
right.
I ain't trying to step on your toes or nothing. But.
Oh, no, thank you for bringing that up. But now,
Can it be considered
transcendental envy? Now,
Narottam.
what about this this incident where Sankachuta, Krishna had caught Sankachuta, killed him, and brought back the conch that was on his head, and he gave it to Balaram. And it's mentioned, I think Prabhupada mentions in the commentary that because of one of the other gopis would have gotten it, there would have been a little bit of transcendental envy,
Jealous was
jealousy.
the word, not envy.
But is that jealousy? Is that type of a type of envy, or it's a...
Narottam Das Thakur says that's the only one of the 6 whips that you can't dovetail in Krishna consciousness. Envy in Krishna consciousness is oil and water.
Narottam Das Thakur.
Yeah, it doesn't exist in Krishna consciousness or
Okay.
the spiritual world.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And that's the book distribution. Prabhupada encouraged the transcendental competition. He said, not
Right.
envy, we're trying to serve Krishna better. Oh, you serve so nicely, let
Transcendental
me
competition.
be inspired
Yeah.
and serve better.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there's an instance where there was one brahmachari distributing books, and he wasn't very good at it, and he was feeling a little uneasy. He was feeling like I'm feeling some envy towards my godbrothers because I'm not able to do as good as them. And he wrote Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, I'm feeling this envy of my godbrother. They're doing so good. And Prabhupada said that's a indirect way of appreciation. Interesting. It's an indirect way of appreciation of your godbrothers. That was Dharma Das. He's been the head pujari in Miami for 35 years or 40 years, something like that. So book distribution wasn't his service, but he became the pujari, and it's amazing. Yes, Paula.
So you're talking a little bit about different devotees wanting to commit suicide and Lord Chaitanya not allowing them to, and knowing their minds. So sometimes I've heard that a say authentic or bona fide way for devotees to leave their body is through just to stop eating, stop drinking. And because my mother was asking me about that because her grandmother, my great-grandmother, she did that. She stopped eating, she stopped drinking. She was a religious lady, but she specifically did that. She was up there in age, 90s. She was in her 90s, but her husband passed away. And then she said, right after he passed away, she said, okay, just stop eating, stop drinking. And my mother, she said for years she couldn't understand, and why did she do that, and she couldn't. So I was explaining to her this idea and how sometimes devotees do that, but maybe you could comment on that.
Well,
and at what of course, to do it, because generally you see the Vaishnavas, they do that, in their later years of their life when, the body's
Do we know of any Vaishnavas doing that? Is there an example of any Vaishnavas doing that? Give it to.
And that's basically what Srila Prabhupada did. Said now to Giriraj Swami, I've given up eating and sleeping. There is no question of sex life or defense, so I must be liberated. But he went months with practically, he certainly wasn't eating, and just a little. When the body becomes completely useless, where it has no value for rendering service, then the devotee can develop that desire, I want to give up this useless body, and then in absorption of the Lord and the desire to be able to serve again. I've got a really nice verse. Can I quote it from Vritasura? You quoted him as a demon pure devotee. Can I share it with you? Because it's
Please
apropos to this point. He says, "O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants, who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant, so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship." So, yeah, I've also heard that it's a bona fide process for, at the end, not prematurely like Murari Gupta or Sanatan, but it's
When the
wrecked.
body is just completely useless, what can I do anyway? Yeah.
Prabhupada appreciated Jayananda's, he's coming up Monday, but Jayananda's mood that this body is completely useless for serving you, so better that I give it up. Prabhupada was very appreciative of that.
Mhm. Okay, well, there's an example there with Jayananda then.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
We
Hare
have a
Krishna
question from
Tapas.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. We have a question from the online community. There is a devotee named
Okay.
Vijaya Krishna Dasa, and he's from Portugal. He's watching. He asked, "What is the meaning of purity is the force in relation to book distribution?"
Oh, we have a book distributor there in Portugal. Como vai? Tudo bem? Yes, purity is the force. Therefore, Prabhupada, he wanted us to read the books 1 hour, 2 hours a day. And this helps us to have this purity. And of course, chanting our rounds sincerely. Anybody that's going on book distribution knows that it's not an easy thing to distribute books. Therefore, we have to take shelter of Krishna. We have to chant very good rounds. See, actually, book distribution gives impetus to take Krishna consciousness very seriously, because it's dependent on our sincerity, dependent on our purity. If we're sincerely trying to give Krishna to others, if we're purely, sincerely trying to give Krishna to others, then Krishna reciprocates. And people also, they feel that. They feel that, just like the mind is the index, or the face is the index to the mind. The eyes is the windows to the soul. So people can feel, there's like a sixth sense. They could feel where you're coming from, right? And what to speak of Krishna. So therefore, we have to take shelter of Krishna. And if we're sincerely taking shelter of Krishna, then Krishna makes so many arrangements for us to have success in our preaching. And Prabhupada is the supreme example. He was so pure that he convinced thousands of Westerners to give up their material life and devote themselves to Krishna. Prabhupada is the epitome of purity, and that's the proof. Fulina pariciyate. You judge by the results. You're so pure, look at the result of the purity of Srila Prabhupada. Of course, we can never even come close to that, but this is so important that we take shelter of Krishna and try to become sincere, pure servants of Krishna. Of course, a pure servant of Krishna doesn't think he is pure. Pure devotee never thinks he's pure. The pure devotee just wants to take shelter of Krishna, but still feels himself fallen, and tries to preach. And Krishna reciprocates with that sincere, pure desire to serve him. Obrigado. For those of you who don't, that means thank you. Is that okay? Tapas.
Yes, Prabhu. I think it's very nice.
Okay.
Very nice, wonderful class. Thank you, Prabhu.
I was just thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed that part of the discussion with envy, or part of the confusion, comes from just the different definitions for the word envy.
Mm-hmm.
As Dhruva often points out, how envy can mean jealousy, and envy can mean like wanting someone to not do well, like, you know, so not like and jealousy can also, it gets confusing, because jealousy could just mean I want what that person has,
right?
But often, especially, we use it in terms of
they're synonyms,
mixed,
right? They're kind of like synonyms.
They can be, but then they can also be completely different words. So one
right.
definition of envy is synonymous with jealousy. Another, definition of envy can mean, which is generally not used in America or really anywhere in the
right.
West now, which is to bear malice toward. So, and then it gets confusing, because if you're talking about one book distributor has envy toward another book distributor, well, what is the nature of that envy? Is that nature of that envy that, wow, that person's distributing so many books, I wanted to be like that, so I have some kind of jealousy. So I have some kind of, I'm envious of that person, like, I'm envious they're doing such a nice job. So one could be envious in that sense, at least given like a common, like, American standard of that word, envious. I'm envious of you, I want to be like that. But then if someone's envious of a book distributor, one could think like, I wish that book distributor would stop distributing books so well, I hope they bloop, so I can, be a
that's
top book distributor. So that's a different kind of envy, a whole different kind, which there's no place for that in the spiritual world, wanting to see another person do worse service or lose their service or do a worse job. But there is scope, it looks like there is scope for the jealous, the kind of jealousy that I want that too, I want to serve like that, I want to do such, this kind of service, that kind of service.
There's one instance actually of these two devotees are having some competition, book distribution. So one devotee was speaking to somebody, convinced him to take a book. So the other devotee came behind the book distributor.
Wow.
That's envy.
Wow.
Here's a person that he's trying to give a book to, trying to help him, get a book about Krishna, help him in his Krishna consciousness, and this person, devotee, is waving away. Don't take the book. Horrible, demoniac. So that's envy. That's clear envy, because he wants to be number one. He wants terrible. So if someone has that, it's this thick dirt in the heart. Envy. And it all began with our envy of Krishna. We wanted to be Krishna. Here we are. Trying to be Krishna. So now we're trying to become free of that sick mentality, and again become servants of Krishna. Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we have one more question.
If you guys want to leave, you can leave. Yeah, what is it?
I'm just reading this question. Give me a second, Prabhu.
Okay.
Okay, the question is from Bedave Prabhu. His name is actually, initially name is Shamananda Das. He is asking, at the moment of meeting with Vasudev Brahmana, before that, Lord Chaitanya promised to Brahmana Kumar that he will be present when someone speak about Krishna, whoever he meet. Is he coming back to the place connected with this promise also?
Did anybody fully understand that?
I don't know, Prabhu, you can see the question in the YouTube chat. Maybe you can repeat.
Yeah. Oh, Lord Chaitanya said, you preach this message, yeah, become guru, preach this message, yeah, and I'll be present in the preaching. Uh-huh. So the person wants to know, what does that mean, that I'll come back? Well, if we're preaching Krishna consciousness, then you're in the association of Krishna. Therefore it's stated, Naham tastami vaikunte yoginam hridayesava tatat tastami nara yatra gayanti madbhakta. That's in the purport. That I'm not in Vaikuntha, I'm not in the hearts of the yogis, but I am wherever my devotees are preaching my message. So wherever the message of Lord Chaitanya, the message of Krishna is being preached, then he's there. So I think that should. Is that good?
Vijaya Prabhu?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I'm calling from Portugal.
Como vai? Tudo bem?
Tudo bem, Prabhu. Muito obrigado. Prabhu, may I speak for a quick moment, please?
Okay.
No, I just want to thank you for your wonderful answer to my question related to purity is the force. And if I may, Prabhu, when you say that we should strive for sincerity, what do you mean in practical terms for my day-to-day life book distribution? Is it that sincerity means to take a bath, brush my teeth? I need practical tips in order for my book distribution to become successful in relation to purity is the force. What are the practical tips, please?
The practical things you can do is chant very good rounds.
Yes,
as good as possible, as good as possible, and read Prabhupada's books. Minimum 1 hour. Better if you can do 2 hours. And that helps us to develop good consciousness, good Krishna consciousness. And morning program, whole morning, Mangalarti, Guru Puja, class. This helps us to develop this purity that we're trying to develop to spread Krishna consciousness.
Prabhu, yes, these are those are the tips I need. And Prabhu, one technical question: is it that these classes are daily classes?
Yes, daily.
Yes, what time in SanDiego? SanDiego time, please.
We start at 7:45.
7:45, daily classes. Prabhu, and let me use this opportunity to thank you very much and congratulate you in relation to your book distribution career, Prabhu. You're an amazing devotee doing such a wonderful service to Srila Prabhupada and the disciplic succession. Wonderful, Vijaya Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Obrigado.
De nada, de nada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.